Now let's begin with another saga involving controversial cross-dresser Idris Okuneye, popularly known as Bobrisky. He emerged in another trouble, but this time he was arrested by officers of the Nigerian Immigration Service on Monday after a failed attempt to flee the country through the Seme border at about 1 in the morning. Bobrisky has been remanded at the Alagbon Police custody for further investigation on his arrest, which came in the wake of unresolved legal matters, making him a person of interest and concern. All right, I'll start with you, Adewale Adeoye. At first, I thought it was a rumor, but later on, I felt like, oh, this is actually true. But what is Uncle Bob running away from?
Well, first of all, I think that he keeps surrounding himself with unhealthy controversies. And that should not be surprising to onlookers because he has developed a culture that is antithetical to the environment where he was born. And that culture he has developed is embarrassing to the society that he lives. So the controversy that surrounds him, they are not healthy ones, and I don't think they are things that are good for him. And I think that when you are talking about the video that was exposed and all sort of things, there may be a lot of legal issues tied to these issues, this the clip. And I know there are efforts to go into the roots of this matter, especially given the personality involved, that attempts were made to impugn his character. That's Mr. Femi
names.
Yes, who has kept glowing record, spanning over more than 3 decades. Because there are a lot of things involved in that video, whether it was manipulated, whether it is true or not. But he made a lot of seditious claims that if taken to court, he might be in another trouble. So I think in his attempt to flee the country, he should not forget that it's very easy to discover that move, especially at the border. And now that he has been arrested, there may be other issues tied to it, whether he was traveling with valid papers, whether crossing the border, whether he had a passport. So there are other legal implications.
And so the whole thing looks suspicious.
Yes, suspicious. Right? So and why was he leaving the country? Maybe there are some other issues that are not known to us. But it shows clearly that our younger people should look for the right role model.
Role model. Role models. Kaidi, let's look at the investigative panel report about Bobrisky's time at the custodial center. What do you make of it?
Unfortunately, I'm not so excited with the outcome. Why I use unfortunately is the fact that so many questions are yet to be answered. If you look at that report, as much as the first stage, I may be wrong, but I see it more as civil servant covering up civil servants, telling us that there is no proof that he spent his jail term outside the custodial center. Does it invariably mean that he actually spent it at the custodial center? That statement is not very absolute.
I thought they said there were some privileges.
That he enjoyed privileges. But they were not so categorical. If you look at that statement, I'm quoting them now. If you look at that statement in the report, is that there is no proof. There is no evidence to show
like a video to show.
So that gives us the issue of what actually happened. Let us know. Privileges, is it within the custodial center? Stated categorically. Why I'm saying this is linking it to what Mr. Adewale said, is to look at how do we juxtapose what really transpired. The heavy allegations that VDM has raised has pointed to one thing, that was not a reckless revelation. That was a revelation we should hold seriously. EFCC has got to give us an answer. I would have preferred an independent panel.
Okay, an independent panel, okay.
Good. Maybe I would have thought that House of Red was quite hasty, going into that investigation. But the benefit of hindsight now is making it look like it seems they have made a little sense because we cannot depend solely on what the Ministry of Interior is giving us. Because it might be a case of civil servant covering up civil servant. Let us see what really happened. We are questioning, we are interrogating the system. And that's what I think the minister is up to. The minister definitely is not a civil servant, but wants to sanitize the system. And if he wants to do that, he actually needs an independent panel of inquiry to really know what is going on. We've heard all kinds of tales,
all sorts of stories
about what is going on with some so-called VIPs.
Okay, right about now we have BKO joining us from Abuja. BKO, it's so great to have you join us.
Yeah, and it's so good to do this with you.
Exactly. Truthfully, I've missed you. But let's get into the conversation. What do you make of the investigative panel looking at about Bobrisky's time at the custodial center? What do you make of it? Some names have been mentioned, you know, but what do you make of it? Let's start with that.
That is, I believe this is not the one and only panel that will look at that matter. The House of Reps is also investigating the matter. They are yet to turn in their report. And that is why someone like Bobrisky, who had been invited by the House of Reps to come and defend himself, refused to show up at the House of Reps, but could afford to attempt to sneak out of the continent of Africa using the land borders that were used during the Nadeco days. He tried to sneak out at around 1:30 a.m. He was brought to the border post in a black SUV at 1:30 a.m. Why were you traveling through the land borders at such an odd hour? You see, my people of Ade extraction in my great community, Ade, they had some excellent masquerades that we used to enjoy watching in those days. And they used to sing songs that astounded me. People will be singing, will be running after those masquerades, they will flog us, but we'll be singing those songs. And one of those songs is something that came to my mind when this Bobrisky matter came up. This latest saga. And the song goes thus. Oh, Eshuwega, Agaya Moronko, Agaya Moronko, Agaya Moronko. Oh, Eshuwega, Agaya Moronko. Tell you how controversial Bobrisky had become. Bobrisky had become so controversial that I can liken him to the kind of person that those songs were meant for, those songs for masquerades. Is that song, you know, reminds me of the message that the masquerades were trying to pass. That human beings must be sensible, human beings must do what is right. Human beings must reason like the rest of us. There's no way you look at Bobrisky and tell yourself that he reasons like the rest of us. Even the way he dresses will show you that he does not reason like the rest of us. How do you, when you have not attempted, you have not faced a panel that was set up to investigate a matter, a very important matter at that, you are trying to run away from our country. So kudos to the immigration people for doing an excellent job of apprehending him, and now he's been taken to FCID. At that place, he's not likely to have access to his makeups and the rest of them. So
and the other privileges.
Yes. You know, they too now, having read what happened and the way he has put some prison officials in trouble, they know that they have to treat him just like any common suspect.
Okay.
So, where were you going at 1:30 a.m.? You are not an ADECO official. Where are you running to? Why are you running? Why are you running? So this is the thing. I'm just happy that they did the right thing. They described him as a person of interest, and that is true. Let him go and face the House of Reps. Tell the House of Reps everything that he knows.
Okay.
Because it's not just libelous matter that we're talking about here. How about those big allegations that were made about the FCC, about prison officials?
Yes.
We need closure on those matters, and he has his own role to play in helping us to achieve closure.
In achieving that.
Kudos to the people who helped us to apprehend him.
Be careful with that. But let me. What should we be expecting? I know that there's going to be a full report. Should that report be made public for Nigerians to see?
The report will not be meaningful if it is made private. Because this issue is a public affair. It has to do with crime. It has to do with a lot of individuals whose names have been mentioned. And the Nigerians need to know the true state of affairs. And then, just like my colleague said, that the panel that was set up is like the Ministry of Interior probing itself. Led by Magdalene Ajani, Permanent Secretary, in the same ministry. So there is a strong suspicion that the ministry is expected to cover up, given the tradition we have seen over the years in this Nigeria, to cover up itself some of its officials that may be implicated. In
the, you don't trust the whole
so and though they try to have Uju Aguma in the panel, who's a well-known activist, with very good reputation in terms of prison reforms. But that's not enough for us to come to conclusions. In fact, we have seen signals to make us suspect that there are a lot of things that are hidden. For instance, we have been told that he had special privileges.
Yeah, the special privileges.
Special food, he could provide food for himself. Had access
I think it's also time for us to know how many others are enjoying such privileges. Because I'm sure it's not just Bobrisky.
That's the pointer. The pointer for us is, trust me, Bobrisky definitely needs to be taught a lesson. He hasn't learned enough. I think the 6 months wasn't enough for him. And so he needs to now, I'm not judging him now, but I'm just saying that if he is found guilty in some of those things that he probably has done, bribing FCC official, then definitely it's going back to prison. And definitely, once beaten, twice shy. We don't expect them to be careless again. But it's an institutional thing. It's an institutional issue. We're talking about prison. We're talking about EFCC, the anti-graft body. And so if a person, pardon my language, like Bobrisky, can circumvent the system, so what has been happening to the
over the years? The former governors
to bigger names. We can easily make an assertion that things have not been going on well.
Okay. All right, let's move straight to our next conversation.